Recently I've been streaming some TurboGrafx-16 games. When I came upon the TaleSpin game, I tried it out and I was surprised to find that it was so different from the Sega Genesis version. But regardless, during the bonus stages, you collect points while Kit Cloudkicker rides his airfoil from the back of the plane while Baloo flies it. For those that didn't grow up watching this show, just to explain, on this show, Baloo from the Jungle Book was a pilot and he went on Indiana Jones-like adventures. His sidekick was Kit Cloudkicker, and his thing was that while Baloo was flying the plane, he would open up the back hatch of the plane. Kit would jump out with his board and ride the clouds, which is similar to water skiing if it was in the sky. I hadn't really thought about that aspect of the show in like 30 years, since watching the show as a kid, and it unlocked a memory that I had at the time when watching the Disney Afternoon back then. And a lot of things about this cloud surfing bothered me. The main thing I remember thinking was, how does that board not fly out from under his feet? The way they drew it, it was just his bare feet on the board with absolutely no attachment. It would make a little bit more sense to me if there was some sort of clasp over his feet that kept the board from getting blown away in the wind, but there's nothing. And I know what you might be thinking. This device does sort of have similar physics to the way things might work in real life with a plane wing or something, and that's true. Also, a surfer doesn't need a clasp on his foot for a surfboard, right? And a skater doesn't need a clasp on his feet for a skateboard, and that's all true. But if they fall, they aren't going to die. A surfer will fall in the water, and a skater will fall on pavement. If Kit Cloudkicker falls, he's going to fall 20,000 feet out of the sky to his death. There is no chance, no matter how talented he was, that he couldn't lose the board at some point. And if he lost this board in the sky, he will eventually fall to his death, like the monkeys falling off the platforms in Super Monkey Ball. And sure, let's say that he was just the best, most confident surfer ever. Still, wouldn't you want it there just as a safety precaution? I asked Erin about all this, and she said, well, maybe there's honey on his feet. While that's a funny idea, because bears like honey, unfortunately I can't agree. After the sky surfing is done, Kit returns to the cargo area of the Sea Duck, and when he gets off the board, they never show him struggling to pull it off his feet. So there is no honey. And obviously honey wouldn't be strong enough. It would have to be epoxy or something at the absolute least. I'm willing to give Disney Animation a break on this because it's just some dumb kids show, right? Like, maybe the first few episodes they didn't think of this aspect, and as the series went on, they improved upon the cloud surfing stuff to make it a little bit more believable. So, I went to the very last episode entitled Flying Dupes, but Kit Cloudkicker isn't even in the episode. So I had to go back through a whole bunch of episodes to find the very last sky surfing scene. The last time you see the airfoil itself is in episode 49, Louie's Last Stand, but Kit only uses it like a boomerang, so that's irrelevant. The final cloud surfing scene that I could find at least was in episode 38, The Time Bandit, and guess what? There's no improvements to the airfoil. He just rides it just the way he always did, with no additional clasps or anything. Another thing, you might think, well, he's a bear, so he has claws that would dig into the board. But look at that thing. It's made of solid steel. And there's a moment where he uses it to deflect bullets from Don Carnage's ship. If bullets can't penetrate the board, his little bear nails certainly can't. To make it even more obnoxious, in one episode he rides this thing with one foot. And in another one, he's eating ice cream out there, and even that doesn't go flying off in the wind. Come on. Apparently the airfoil was made by his parents, but it gets destroyed by Don Carnage. So then he just built his own, without any guidance. This is a major red flag. So he's also some kind of child bear genius on top of being a world-class surfer? This is Wesley Crusher syndrome now. By the way, it gets destroyed and he builds a new one in the same episode, so it doesn't even take him any time to pull off this miraculous engineering marvel by himself. Also, you might be thinking, well, maybe this board is made from material that's from their own world that we don't have here. Well, in one episode, they're talking about World War I ending. That's Earth history right there, so they're supposed to be from our world. So alternate reality materials are out. And also, I read in a thing online that it's composed of lightweight airplane armor that Kit salvaged from junkyards. Another thing is, I don't think Kit would be able to hold onto the rope anyway. I think the sheer force of the wind coming off the back of the plane would be far too powerful for a child bear to hold onto the rope handle and not have it be ripped forcefully out of his hands. I know that bears can't even fly planes in the first place. I can deal with this just being a cartoon and they replaced humans with animals. But there has to be a suspension of disbelief here. I'm just not buying it. It's one of those, it's a cartoon and it just works things, but I can't let it go. So let me know what you think. I'll now await the "it's just a cartoon, bro" comments from the people who can't bother to use their brains to come up with a solution